Hey Julie, how's it going?
Hi, good.
Thanks for having me in today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about your current insurance situation. You guys been with your broker for how long?
For about 20 years.
20 years. Wow, that's quite a long time. And how long have you been in business?
We've been in business about 45 years.
Wow.
It's a business that has been handed down from generation.
That's excellent. Wow, that's incredible. So 20 years with the same broker. Walk me through what the typical marketing process is.
Well, actually, we meet with the broker once a year, and he comes out and reviews, different things with us, asks if there's any changes that we've had, and then he goes back and he comes back in with a couple quotes.
Okay. So would you say, and would you classify your relationship with your broker as pretty much renewal driven? I mean, right around renewal time, maybe a couple months before. You guys are going to sit down and talk about the upcoming year.
That's correct.
Now, over these years, you've been with the same carrier, insurance carrier, or have you jumped around to a couple different ones?
We've changed a couple times, but nothing, not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple times.
How about your claims history? Have you had any large or unusual claims? Say, a fire rips through the building and pretty much destroys everything in sight, or you've been brought to court on named in a lawsuit, anything like this?
No, the only claim that we've had because of where we are is we've had storms come in and shut us down for a while.
Okay.
But that's really it. We really didn't have any fires or any liability. Huge liability claims.
Do you see a likelihood of something like one of these larger unusual claims in the future? I mean,
I have no idea. I mean, I can't predict what's going to happen.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, the truth is that something like this could never happen.
Right.
Yeah. Now, over the years, you said you've been here 45 years, you've been in business. Do you feel that you've paid more into the insurance system in premium than you've received out in claims?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody feel that way?
Well, why wouldn't you cancel your insurance?
Well, because there may be that big, huge claim.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's, I say that kind of jokingly, and there's certain statutory, limits that you can place for workers' comp and auto liability. But when you really think of it, you've had all these years in business, you've never had that major claim. Why really do you buy it? And you really hit the nail on the head because you need that peace of mind because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
And it's funny because this presents a real challenge in our industry because, like we talked about, your relationship with your broker is really centralized around the renewal process. But why you buy insurance is not to renew, it's not for price, but really what you buy insurance for is to protect you from the unknown.
Right.
So it does represent kind of a challenge because you have the entire brokerage industry focused on one thing, which is just renewing the business every year, and you have the community of business owners like yourself who are more interested in receiving a benefit from what they're paying for.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's take a step back and to illustrate this challenge. I really think this is the key, to our discussion. You ever been bungee jumping?
No.
No. Would you ever consider it?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, let's just throw your inhibitions to the wind. Let's just say that you're up on this bridge and you're going to jump. Okay.
Okay.
What are some things that you might ask yourself that would make you feel safe?
Make me feel safe?
Yeah.
I'd be asking myself, what am I, crazy? I certainly want to make sure that all those ropes are tight to my body.
Yeah. I mean, that's important, right?
Right.
I mean, you're going to jump. You want to make sure that that's going to be there to help you.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, the comparison I'll draw is to your insurance program, to your business. Let's just pretend for a minute that the business is represented by the person jumping. Okay, so that's your business. And the jump that they go on off this bridge here, that represents the risks that you face every day. Okay, and what's there to protect the individual jumping is the bungee cord, just like what's there to protect you is hopefully your insurance policy.
Right.
Now, if we took this step back and I asked you the same questions about what makes you feel safe about your insurance policy, what would it be?
knowing that, that I have coverages that are going to react if something's to happen.
Something were to happen.
Sure.
And how do you make sure that that coverage is adequate?
I depend on my broker.
Yeah. And that represents the challenge because, like we said, I mean, your relationship with your broker is really focused around renewing a business, renewing the same policy that you've pretty much had, probably not too much of a deviation for the past 20 years. And you're relying on your broker. Now, would it surprise you if I told you that the majority of brokers do not read the policies from cover to cover?
That would be very surprising. Isn't that their job?
One would think. One would think. Now, I think we understand the challenge. The challenge to place is that you do have a body, which is the brokerage community, focusing in on this renewal, and the customers like yourself are not looking at that as an important piece. They're looking more at the coverage that they have. Now, how is Brown & Brown different? I'm going to talk about two attributes of our company. They're going to rise up and meet this challenge. Number one is going to be our unique structure. Number two is going to be the process by which we use this unique structure to deliver the product to our customers. So our unique structure, our size. We're currently the 7th largest broker nationally. So what? What's that mean? What's the first thing you think of, Julie, when you think of a large company?
You get lost in the big company structure as a client.
Yeah. And that's why I say this, because I say that the size is an attribute, and not because I want to, because you can't deny it. I mean, we're a large agency. We're able to negotiate on premiums and packages, and we work with pretty much every carrier out there. But I think a lot of companies can say that they're big. And like you said, your experience with a lot of companies that are big is you do usually get poor service. You're calling an 800 number, or dealing with a confusing website, or an answering service, or all these things.
And that I certainly don't want. I don't like big companies.
Yeah, exactly. And
you're just a number.
Exactly. And neither do we. And the way that we're structured, even though we're the 7th largest, is that we operate in 180 different offices all over the country. What that means is that each of the 180 offices, for all intents and purposes, is operating as its own company, on its own budget, with its own management, making its own decisions in the local communities, 180 of them. Okay, now, this is kind of a paradox, because you have a large company that's completely decentralized. And we combine these two things, we call them collective wisdom. Now, what's an example of collective wisdom? You guys are in the pharmaceutical shipping industry. And let's just say, for instance, that there is halfway across the country, there's a company that's structured just like yours. Okay? A company that's structured just like yours that is an incredible insurance program, one that we can bring to you. And why can we bring it to you is because that individual may be out there, maybe working with Brown & Brown currently, in another office, in another completely other side of the country. But leaning on that collective wisdom of being able to reach out through all these different networks of Brown & Brown offices, we're not only able to bring our own expertise to the table, but we're able to bring the expertise of all over the country to the table to ultimately put you in the driver's seat of a better program. What does this mean? I can talk all day about Brown & Brown. I can talk all day about the benefits of our company. It really doesn't mean anything to you unless we can put it to work for you. So here's the process by which we want to bring this all home for you. The first step in the process is why I'm here today. Okay? Before I do anything, I mean, any broker can walk in off the street, can take a look at your policy and say, hey, I can save you 15% on this. And the product you may get is no good, but any broker can come in and say that. I don't want to talk about pricing. I don't want to talk about renewing. I don't want to talk about any of that right now. The point of this first meeting is to really understand how your company works. Because until I understand how it works, I'm going to have no chance of putting you in the driver's seat of a program that'll work for you. So first step in the process, why I'm here today. Second step, I want to review the program that you have in place. I want to review your policies, any contracts with vendors, customers, any lease agreements that you have, anything where risk may be transferred. I want to be sure that ultimately that risk is not going to be put on your company. Okay? I'm going to come back to you, ask some questions, really drill down into your operations so that I can, again, seek to understand, know what you guys know. Nobody knows your business better than you. Would you agree?
I would agree.
So in order for me to provide you with the best program, I'm going to want to get as much of that information from you and use your input to design the program for you. Finally, I want to compare what we find through this investigative type process, compare it to the program you have today. Find the gaps, see where the current program isn't meeting the expectations that you really need.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally come back to you, deliver everything that we find from a problematic standpoint, and not only explain to you what those gaps mean, but provide you with a program that fills all those gaps.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds pretty good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get started.
All right, thank you.
Yep.